Let's hit the button. Yay, the chat shows up. That was fast. Let's see if the Discord notification goes off. It does not. Hey, how's it going? I had plans this weekend and the ice storm screwed me, so I've got nothing else to do. We're gonna do some Active Directory and RBAC nonsense today. Does it sound okay? Okay. I wasn't expecting that fast. I was under a minute, you guys. I'm doing all right. I'm just gonna wait a little bit before I start doing stuff. Let's turn on a server right now. I'll be able to see it hopefully on the rack cam. I think it's this one. We need to turn on my Hyper-V host. That's got all my Active Directory stuff on it. Grafana and Proxmox. I don't remember if I even have my Proxmox working with my Grafana right now. I haven't done anything Grafana in a long time. Also, my reverse proxy is broken for my see if that works. Oh, no, it seems to be working again. Maybe it was just DNS stuff. My IP changed, so the Homelab website. Well, oh no, it's still broken. But for Proxmox, I'm pretty sure it's pretty easy to do. You just have to yeah, it's been broken for like a week or two. I tried to connect to the server that's running it, and I can't remember what username I used to log in, so I still have to sit down and figure out my login information. Is this turned on right now? Let's switch there so you can see what I'm doing at least. Let's turn this thing on, and it should show up. Oh, you probably won't be able to see it because that thing's gonna stay orange because I have no battery for my RAID in this server. But it's the second R710 is what is hosting the Hyper-V. Basically, what I want to do today is I need to know a bit more about RBAC and Azure. So I've got, I just set up another free trial just so I could use this as my streaming Azure account, so I don't have to use, I can't use my MSDN account for this. So what we're gonna do is I have Azure Active Directory tenant that you get automatically, and we're gonna set up a sync between my on-prem. Do you have Wacom LAN? No, I don't have that set up. I haven't really had a use for it because I have iDRAC on all my servers that I turn on and off, so I just use that to power them up and on and off. That might be, I don't know, useful for the my NAS, but I generally keep that turned on all the time. Oh, where's my mouse? Oh, what happened? My mouse and my keyboard are no longer connected to my... Oh. Okay, there we go. That was weird. My mouse and my keyboard disconnected from my computer for a second. Yeah, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up Azure AD Sync on our on-prem. Well, technically they are on-prem because they're in my room, and we're gonna set that up. I don't remember if I need a VPN for that to work, so we're gonna figure that out. How loud do you find the R710s? They're not very loud once they're running. When you start them up, they're pretty loud. As long as you have iDRAC installed on them, that controls the fan. So once they're running and you're not putting a huge amount of load on them, the iDRAC brings the fans down pretty quiet. Because I do keep one R710, my Proxmox host, it runs all the time, and it's quieter than my 210. The 210 I have the V1 Luke, which was really loud, but it didn't have iDRAC in it, and I had a bunch of DRAC cards laying around, so I threw one in, and that quieted it right down. So now it's about as loud as my switches. My switches are almost the loudest thing in the rack. The PoE switch has a kind of an annoying fan. I guess I wasn't showing what I was doing over here. So we've got the free trial set up, so I have $250 to play with for the month. We're gonna use this to set this up. So what I showed before. This is your default Azure Active Directory. We're going to use AD Connect, which is right here. We're going to set this up. I'm going to remember how to do that. We're going to just install that on our domain controller. Let's connect to... yeah, if you don't have the DRAC installed, it's insanely loud. Like, I think the fans just run at 80% all the time. Let's do remote desktop. I'm gonna do... Oh, that's already the right one. It should be started by now, I think. Let me check. Yep. So that's what on the rack cam, that orange status light is because the batteries for the RAID controller are taken out. Why don't you let me connect? Did you find iDRACs? I just bought them on eBay. You can get them for like, if you buy a bunch of them at once, you can get them for pretty cheap. I bought like 6 of them. 6. It came with 6 6 of the non-enterprise. I don't remember what it's called. The Express. That's what it was. It was 6 DRAC Express cards and 6 DRAC Enterprise cards, and it was like $80 or something like that. So less than $10 a piece. Yeah, it's worth it if you want to keep the noise down. They're pretty cheap. You can get them for $10 a piece, I think, on eBay. And you just need the Express. If you don't want all the enterprise features, you just want the fans to be quiet, you can just get the Express, and then you can control like IPMI stuff through your LAN, like it shares your LAN. Hard to configure? Nope, they're really easy. You just you can configure it. There's like I think there's an F key you press during setup, or no, it's a control thing during the initialization of the server, and you can change all the settings. And there's not that many settings. It's just like IP info and user login and stuff like that. The difference, Enterprise has its own dedicated port on the back, and then the Express just uses one of your LAN ports. And then there's some other stuff like I think for let's look at here. I think like vFlash and the virtual console and stuff. I think that's enterprise only, but I don't know because I've only had enterprise. I just know that you can just put in express in the, because I think I only have express in the 210 and it'll make the fans quieter. Why can't I connect to this? It should be the right one. Unless I decided, hold on. Oh, not that. This. I think I made an Azure because I was playing with oops. I think I made an Azure VLAN. Was it this one? Well, VPN, IPsec. And what VLAN does it use? So I think it might be 200 now. Yep. So we're doing different account, and I don't think I have a domain, or I don't think this Hyper-V host is domain joined. See if I can remember the password. Yay. Let's move this to where I can see it. And this is just a Hyper-V host, and this, I think, when Server Manager starts up, we can look at it, because I don't remember a lot of the stuff. I was originally doing, I don't need to change my password. The memory card. I don't want updates right now. What's the memory card for on the back of the R710? Like the SD card slot? I think you can use that to run an OS. Like if you want to run Hyper-V or anything like that, you can run the OS off of an SD card and then use all of your disks for data disks. If not, it might be for just doing firmware updates. I'm not exactly sure. I've never used it before. I don't want to do Windows updates right now. It's all enabled. I don't remember how to. Okay, we don't need that. Let's turn on our domain controller. And what do we want? What was I doing on here before? I think, System Center. So I was doing SCCM and running a bunch of upgrades on Windows 10, Windows 8, Windows 7, and then I was using a staging for building the or getting a base image to upgrade from. So all we need is the domain controller. And I don't remember any of the network stuff, so I want to see what IP this thing is using. And then we're going to install AD Connect on it. And we're also going to add some users and groups and stuff like that, and I'll explain that once we get to that point. Basically, the plan is I want to see how I can add built-in RBAC roles for Azure, which is the role-based access control in Azure. If I want to apply those roles to a group in on-prem Active Directory, and then add users to that group and see how well the cascading permissions works through Azure. If it works at all, which I think I know that it already works. So we need this. I also don't remember what my domain is internal. It's been a few months since I set this stuff up. It's been a few months since I worked on anything lab related. I don't want updates. I don't think I can get updates because I don't think this Windows is activated. Okay. I didn't mean to open that. So 200.100. Let's see if I can actually just remote desktop to that so I don't have to use Hyper-V's thing. Oops. 10.0.200.100. Yeah, I can. And then our domain is internal administrator for the domain admin. Let's remember that. Sure. Bring it over here. Oof, that background didn't scale very well. When I try to install Windows Server, I get a BCD error. What's a BCD error? And what are you trying to install it on? So unless it's insanely old hardware, I don't think you should have a problem installing Windows on it. So let's open our Windows Admin Tools, our Active Directory Administrative Center, which I don't really like. It's supposed to replace like 80 users and computers and sites and services and all that stuff, and it's supposed to be all in one, but it's too, like, this is users and computers, simple, whatever, you can see everything. This is it looks kind of like the server manager, and just the navigation kind of, I don't like it as much. What's our domain actually called? Is it just called internal? Yeah, I just look on here. Insert domain controllers. I used to have an Azure AD domain controller, which I should get rid of. I don't remember the proper way to delete a domain controller that doesn't exist anymore, but I had a site-to-site VPN set up, and I accidentally left it in the VPN1 SKU and left it running all day, and it used like I don't know, like $16 of my credit. So if you're gonna use that, make sure you put it on basic. And I still think that costs quite a bit. Where's my phone? Oh, I'm getting a phone call. I'm gonna have to 1 second. Okay, I am back. So I just need to get, what I'm doing is I'm going to install the Azure AD Connect client on here. How do you get your Cisco licenses? You shouldn't need, like, your 1841 didn't come with a license. I don't even know what mine has. Mine had whatever it came with, and I just set it up from there. I had to like do a factory reset on it, but I didn't have any problems using it. Wiped from the data. So do you mean like wiped as in there's no firmware on it, or no iOS version? Because in that case, you'd probably have to Google it and find it somewhere that's not on a Cisco website, because you can't generally get that stuff without a without a partner login or something from Cisco. Some stuff they offer for free, like a lot of the wireless, the access control, or not access controller, wireless access points. You can get some of the firmware for free, but for like iOS versions, I wouldn't suspect you'd be able to find that. Right to use thing? I'm not sure. I haven't used. The only Cisco stuff I use right now is my switches, so I haven't played with. I don't have a Cisco related job, so I haven't actually been using Cisco stuff for quite a while. What was I doing? AD Connect. Yeah, mine just worked out of the box. Like, if it has iOS on it and you're able to log into it, then you should be able to just use the IP stuff. Let's download our Azure AD Connect. Go away. I don't want. Internet Explorer sucks. Yeah, I'm connected to the internet, so I was able to log in. Does iDRAC fit all the Dell servers? For R210, you need there's a model number for it. I'll get it for you. I'm in the wrong server. Let's get my desktop. So if we go to eBay and do iDRAC. So it's the iDRAC 6. That'll fit in all of the 210, 410, 610, all those. And then there's ones, the 210, it looks different. So like some of them have this screw hole thing here, and other ones have like a metal bracket that hold them in. The one with the screw holes, those are the ones for the 210. The ones for the 410 are the ones that have there's like bracket. They're all the same though. It's just that black plastic thing that you use to hold them in. All the cards are exactly the same. So if you get an iDRAC 6 Express, it'll work in a 210, 410, anything. So basically all of these will work. And that's what the Express looks like. It's the L-shaped one, and it has the RJ45 jack on it. I need back to here. Don't need that open. And I don't need the Hyper-V host open either. Did it download the AD client? Or did it just open the Microsoft website? Yeah, Enterprise is good to get. Usually you can get them in a package deal. So you just note that you have to have the Express for Enterprise to work. So it's either you have to have both of them or just Express. Just make sure you know that, because if you don't have Express, then Enterprise won't work, and it'll tell you that in the initialization thing. It'll come up with a message and says Enterprise doesn't work without Express. So it's either both or just Express. Why does this not? Oh, I thought I was at the Microsoft homepage, but it was, you know, just being dumb. Let's just save it for now, because I do want to add some users and stuff. And let's make a. This is our. Oh, that's our domain there. internal.homelab.sh. Let's make a new OU. Just to make it so it's easier to navigate. And we'll call this. I'll just call it internal. It's going to be the whole domain OU, and then inside this OU we're going to make a what do you mean? I don't need extra features. I just want iDRAC not to take up an extra port. That's the thing. So it's two different modules. So hey AO554, welcome. iDRAC. So like here's where it goes in. That's where the enterprise card goes in. So that gives you, I'm pointing at the screen, but you can see that it gives you that Ethernet jack. The Express module goes in a different spot. So these are the two different modules. So this one is the Express one. It goes somewhere else. Like you'll see this port, it's like halfway I don't know, halfway up in the middle of the motherboard, and then this one is right at the back, and there's a spot for this one to plug into. In order for you to use this one with the port here, you need to have Express first. So if you want to use this, then you have to have both. If you don't care about using this extra Ethernet jack for management, then just get this one. What was I doing? Oh yeah, okay. So I want to make a couple groups. They don't really need to do anything other than I don't know, maybe have so what we want to do, I want to have a, got it, can you set up the track? Yeah, you can make it so you I don't know actually. I think you can make it so that IPMI, well, I don't know. I've never used Express, so I'm not sure. You'd have to look that up. Also, remember there's a we've got a Discord as well. If you go in there's a lot of people in there that might know some more answers than I do. So I didn't throw it should be on my, if you go to my YouTube channel page, there should be a link along the top that has a link to the Discord server, and there's a bunch of people there that like to help. I don't need that. So we're gonna do a couple. We're gonna do contributor. Make sure I spell that right. We're gonna do another one called reader. And then we'll do one called. Let's see what the groups. I want them to be like one-to-one with the built-in roles in Azure. So we go to all resources. Let's just make a resource group quick. I can just go here. Let's make a new resource group. We're going to call it, we're going to use US East. We're going to call it, I'm just going to call it Homelab, so that's easy. And we're going to look at our IAM. Right now I have the role owner. That means I can do everything to it. What we want to do is look at what roles we can have. So these are all the built-in Azure roles. So virtual machine contributor is the one that I want. Maybe virtual machine administrator login. Basically, I just want to make groups for all these so that I can, instead of having to go into Azure and add people to these groups, I want to be able to just put them in either a group already assigned to like a, I don't know, say your operations team. You want them to be able to do only certain things. You want to just add them to one of these roles in Active Directory on-prem, and it'll sync up to the cloud and allow them to access certain things in Azure. So let's add a new group. Virtual machine contributor. And then we want, what else do we want? Let's do another OU. And we can do, let's just do that. Let's do operations. No, that's not OU. We want, I'm trying to think of like Azure, or not Azure, Active Directory best practices. I'm just going to put in users for now. And then we can add, let's do a new user just to make a test user. Do test user. Sure, their login name is going to be test.user. Let's do a password. Don't care about that. Never expire. And that's it. So right now that user is basically a generic user. You can log in, but do a whole lot of nothing. And then I want to make sure if I add a new group, so let's do operations. And let's do another one called, oh, not that. Oh, and I hit help. God damn it. I gotta wait for help to open. Go away. Let's open folder. God, Internet Explorer is awful. Yeah, I'm supposed to be doing this in here. But it's way too slow. And it said I can do it faster in just the old way. Operations, I was going to add one more. And I hit the computer again. And call it dev, sure. So you want your, like, say, operations and dev to have different access in Azure, so they can only do, like, say if you have a set of production resources in a group. Maybe dev can look at them, but they can't make any changes or stop and restart any production server, and then have them full control over the dev tier and maybe like a UAT or something like that tier in Azure. So what I want to be able to do is I want to assign these reader, contributor, whatever, one-to-one roles in Azure, and then assign these to other groups so that groups that are people are in all get the role in Azure. I think that's enough. Let's do one more user actually. Just because I'll have more than one. Let's do dev user. Dev.user. Do one more. Call it ops user. Okay, now let's run AD sync. Close that. Let's see if I can remember how this works. It's pretty easy from what I can remember. I'm also pretty sure you're not supposed to install this on the domain controller, but I don't think it matters for what we're doing. Okay, welcome to Azure AD Connect. That's fine, I agree, Mr. Microsoft. Configure synchronization of identities of the current AD Forest internal. Configure password hash. Start initial synchronization. Synchronize all attributes. Enable auto upgrade. That's customized because I don't like doing this express stuff. What do you got here? We need an Azure guy. I want a job. I'm content with my current position. Thank you for the the offer. Just kind of interested in what you guys do though, LR. AO554. My friend deployed me a Debian stretch machine on its Azure and installed Proxmox just to do attacks with LXC containers, and it gets the job done for me. That's pretty cool. I've never tried to install Proxmox on Azure because I know that you can't run Hyper-V in Azure because they don't want you to do that. It's pretty cool that Proxmox works. Install required components. So I don't really need to do anything, so I'm just gonna go with the Express. We'll let it do its thing. We only have one for us. We're not doing any crazy AD stuff. My Azure Global Administrator credential. So that would be my. I think I can just use my Azure login, or I might actually have to make a global admin. Oh, that sounds pretty neat actually. I don't know if it would be, well, Depends on how much power you need. It costs a decent amount. Like Azure's not cheap. Oh, why am I doing this in Internet Explorer? I can do this not on here. Go away. Let's do it over here. Azure AD. We're gonna look at my users, and I think I have to make a global admin, but we'll try and log in with my regular Azure tenant thing. Yeah. Oh, I think I used the wrong password. Okay, so I do need to make a global admin. So we'll do that right now. Let's do new user. Username is going to be Azure AD admin. Profile, don't need groups. We're going to give it global admin. I think that's a role actually. Global administrator. Invalid characters or syntax for a username. Why? Username is the Can I just do Azure admin? That work? Do I have to do at something? AD admin at something. I don't know what my, it should be the at Microsoft something or something. 1 second. Oops. My something just restarted. Hopefully it wasn't this server. And I'm still on the internet. My UPS just did something. Oh. My Proxmox server just rebooted. And my UPS made some noises. It's kind of weird. Card is wiped, it boots the same menu even without the card. Yeah, so you're gonna have to load iOS onto the flash card that comes with it. What did I just look? That's not what I want. I want Azure AD. Users. Once your console cable is free from resetting my switch. Oh, okay. What kind of switch do you have? So good spelling. Oh, I've never used. What kind of interface do you have for VLANs? Is it just command line, or is there some like web interface for it? I've never used 3COM switches. See if that works. Nope. What's my domain directory, or my domain? It's open. It's like .on.microsoft or something like that. Here it is. It should be 80 at that. Should be correct. There we go. Profile doesn't matter. Directory role, global admin. My password, I'm gonna change that because I don't want y'all to log into my Active Directory. Enable, why? Want to give me a reason? I'll use this account then. I cannot. Why did the user creation fail? Okay, not sure why it didn't work before. Maybe the username was too short. Mostly web. Bought it by HP. Oh, okay. So you can just run the AP or HP switch firmware on it. It's pretty neat. So let's copy. Let's change the password for this. I don't even know what it is. Okay, let's sign in quickly. Do users so I can see. Password. Oops. Is this? Password's that. There we go. No, I don't want to stay signed in. Make sure it works. Maybe later. Okay, so now we're signed in. This is the AD admin account, so we should be able to have full access to Azure Active Directory and be able to see all the users and everything, which I can. Cool. So that's gonna go over here for now. Oh, I didn't realize I was on that other thing. Couldn't see what I was doing. That sucks. Basically all I did was create this user, and it's got global admin access. So now we can go back in here and I can make this shorter. I can grab this user's email, which is really long, and use the correct password. And we should be able to carry on with what we're doing. Um, our Active Directory administrator is should be that. You to use on-premise credentials for Azure AD sign-in. UPN suffixes should match one of the verified custom domains in Azure AD. Following table lists the UPN suffixes defined in your on-premise environment, along with matching custom domain in Azure. Users will not be able to sign into Azure AD using their on-premise credentials. Okay, so I need to verify this domain in Azure. It's a pain in the ass. I don't really want to do that right now. So it probably won't take very long. If we go back to Azure, we want to be able to add domains. Which I've never done before. This is where the add oh, okay. That's not very hard. Where do you get my RAM? I had a previous job where I was able to acquire a lot of old server stuff. So yeah, it's generally pretty expensive if you buy it on eBay. I've got it from work, from people giving it away, stuff like that. I've never really paid a whole lot for RAM. What was I doing? Azure AD. Custom domain names. Add custom domain name. Good thing I own this domain. So what do I need to do? Create a text record with your domain name registrar with this. So we can do that. I'm going to do it over here. Because it's on my DNS account. DNS. You create a new text record with your domain name registrar using the info below. So let's do new record, txt, name, at. Destination is this. TL 3600 seconds, which is 60 minutes. Text content is this. Save. Add record. Now we should be able to verify. Oh, you better not take that long. If I go back, let's actually just add the homelab.sh domain. And that should make it easier. Or I could do an MX record as well. Nah. Did that change when I did that? That's supposed to be an @ symbol. Hey, it worked. Let's make it our primary, because why not? Actually, no. I don't think I want to do that. That means this should should work either way. Let's go back to this and see if this works. Previous. Next. Yay, it's verified now. Cool. Next. Do you have a Discord so I can help you? Go into the Homelab Discord if you guys aren't in there already, or my Homelab Discord. I'll grab the invite. If I can remember how to do that. Invites, there we go. I can't seem to get it. Oh, you're already in there. Well, if you can grab, yeah, if you don't want to stay around in it, it's not like it's a requirement or anything. But there's a lot of people in there that like to help out. Like there's a support section. I'm not too active in Discord. I'm not a huge Discord user, but it's there. And I think there's like 130 people in there now. So there's plenty of people to help. I have an invite link that I use for just so I can see how many people come from Discord. Let's just do an instant invite. Why not? There y'all are. What do I've got up for my? Okay, so I think we're good to go. Start sync process. Yes, let's do that. So should be syncing our Active Directory, and then eventually everything should show up nicely in Azure and our users. I'm not sure how long it takes. It doesn't work. Let's do. Let's go to my. This is the actual link, the one that's on my YouTube video, so that one should work. I got into my server virtualizing stuff around the summer of 2017 when my friend gave me access to his home server. Then I started to learn about stuff like Proxmox, ESXi, and pfSense. That is pretty cool. It's good stuff to know. Virtualizer. I've never heard about that. I don't know. I've been using Proxmox for a couple of years now, and I've never had a problem with it. I've never heard of virtualizer though. It looks pretty. Be something to play around with. I'm all Microsoft now, so I use Hyper-V and Nah, but all my like home prod stuff, like my my access control or my wireless access controller and that stuff is on here. I only have 3 servers running all the time though. What's this? This is like my dashboard is running on there. This is my Cisco wireless LAN controller, and then my security camera stuff. Oh yeah, no. See, I I agree with you there, Scorpia. But for Homelab, I like Proxmox for Homelab because it has a lot of stuff out of the box that you can use to play around with. I wouldn't use it in production. Like for Goliath hosting, game hosting servers, we only used ESXi because it was you know, it's a proven technology and it just works. Never heard of virtualizer, and that would have been nice to know back in the day. But yeah, no, I wouldn't use Proxmox in a production sense because of that lack of support. Let's see if our users are here yet. Nice that I didn't have to set up a VPN for this to work. Because VPNs cost money in Azure. Give me a list of users. Well, we have this. That's a sign, I guess. The configuration is complete. Now you can log into Azure or Office 365 portal to verify that user accounts from your local directory have been created. Then do a test sign on. That I don't care about. I don't care about the devices. So it says it's done. I don't believe it. Oh, yeah, it did work. Okay. Let's switch back to here and refresh. Why is it doing this? Quickly change your nickname. Oh, so you're Bennett. Are you Scorpia? I assume, because your picture is the same black dot. What kind of stuff does your friend host? Is it like VPSs and stuff? 'Cause that's what it looks like. That virtualizer is meant for. Why is this not working? Also, why is this like this? Unless I can only look at them when I'm in my global admin account. Oh no, there they are. So now we've got our dev user, our ops user, our test user, and then if we go back, we should have our groups. Yay! So we have operations, reader, virtual machine contributor, all that stuff. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So now we can set up, I want to do some PowerShell stuff. I don't remember if I have Azure stuff installed on here. Let's do login. Azure RM. Okay, so I don't have the Azure thing in here. Azure PowerShell. Azure PowerShell module. I don't remember how to install this. I don't have like yeah, no, I don't have the module installed. What does PowerShell get? Install items from PowerShell. I just run this and then maybe it'll work. I think that's what I ran it. Okay, no, I need this thing. Oh, god damn it. Oh, I don't have the right version. Why? Oh, I'm not using admin. God. I'm not running PowerShell as administrator. Oh, and then I clicked on it. That would be why. Roots, VPS, web space, storage, all the typical stuff. Website is in German, but you can check it out. It's pretty cool. I did that stuff back in the day. Good old Minecraft servers. We actually just shut down the service last month because none of us have time to work on it anymore. What was I doing? Okay, now this should work. I still don't think I need that though. But we'll get it anyway. And then we'll get Azure RM. I need that. Sure. Because we can do, I don't know if I want to do this today because it takes a little while, but we could set up some scripts that I already have some, but they're on my other computer, to do this access control stuff. And that makes everything easier when you automate it. But I can do everything from the portal pretty easily. So like operations, we can give it roles. So we can add that to groups. The resources. Go contributor. We want this to have done yet. We want this to have the contributor role on our subscription. So if I go to resource groups, actually we can do it at a resource group level or we can do it at subscription level. So say if we had a resource group called, so normally you have like a core resource group. That's all good. So this would be like all your underlying network stuff. And then we'll have one that's, then you generally have one that's like, you can either use resource groups by application or by service tier. So we'll make like a web tier kind of thing, or a web service tier, web service type of thing, and we could have like web dev and web prod. We don't need a whole bunch. And we can refresh this and show all of our stuff here. We don't really need this one anymore. Delete it. So those are going to be our 3 resource groups that we can have specific permissions for. So our core, we're going to want to give, let's add, we're going to give contributor, and then we're going to give it the group contributor. So all this stuff we can do via PowerShell. The Discord link is broken. Sorry, offline. Why is it broken? Is that invite turned off or something? It should still work because it's unlimited. YouTube live chat has bugs with. Oh, okay. So, well, if you go to just go to my channel page, and there's a link to the Discord server that should work. Let's click on it and see. Yeah, the one on my channel page should work. Yeah, so now we have our contributor role added to this resource group. I kind of want to do it subscription wide, but I don't know how to do that in the interface. I know how to do it in PowerShell. So this, oops. If we do login, Azure RM account. What? Cool. So that one works. Login Azure RM account. Why? Why do you not work? Did I not run this? Oh. Execution policy. I gotta change my execution policy. Get restricted. We don't want that. We want to set it. Now we want it to be remote signed, but I don't remember how to set. Is it like policy? No. Oh, I can just do it. Okay, remote signed. Yes. Except I probably have to do that in an admin level PowerShell console. So if we do set, let's do get execution policy is restricted. We're gonna set it to remote signed. Yes. And we get it. We got remote signed. So now we should be able to import. Oops. Is it just because, is that why I couldn't log in? Azure RM account, does that work now? Yeah, okay, so that's the only reason why I couldn't do that. So, Should I use my? Should use my like Azure AD one? Nah. Cool. So now if we do, I only have one subscription, so I don't need to set a subscription, so that's good. So now we can do stuff with PowerShell, like get Azure RM role assignment, role definition. Should be a big old list, a whole bunch of stuff. So this is what we can do with that is we can actually get the JSON and we can make custom roles in PowerShell, or well, make a JSON file that we can use to change stuff up and make custom roles in Azure. I don't want to do that today. I'm pretty sure I can do get Azure role assignment, and then I can give a resource group name, and then we can do what was our resource core? Okay, did I finish assigning roles to that? I did not. Now let's save it. Now we have this, and if we go here, it should tell us something. Yeah, there we go. So now we have our role assignment ID. That's going to be, that's the ID to the role assignment. Our scope is where this policy is enforced. So our subscription ID, resource groups core. So right now it's only, the policy only is for the core resource group. The scope options you have are, you have subscription level, you have resource group level, and then you have on individual resource level as well. So like a specific virtual machine, you can set the IAM settings just for that virtual machine. So since we have this contributor set for core, let's just test to make sure that works. So we want to go back to AD, and I'm going to assign our ops user. We're going to add that person to a group. They're going to be in the operations group. Okay. So now they're in operations, and then we're going to go to our groups, operations, and we're going to add a contributor to our operations group. Now if we open up, if that makes sense. Oh, have a good one, Bennett. Have a good night. If this makes sense and works the way I think it will work, if we do an incognito, and then do portal.azure.com, I'm logged in as the wrong account. Let's sign out. Here's another user. I wonder what the email is. I didn't think about that. So if we go to, or what was it? Was it ops user? So that's our domain. Oh, it's okay. It just uses the domain. Back to here. Ops user, internal homelab.sh. The password is this. 9 a.m. for you. It is 4:57 p.m. for me. 9 a.m. You're... Where are you, Luke? Europe? What time is it in Ireland right now? Oh, you must be in like Australia or something. Oh, it is Monday. I feel bad for you. I don't need a tour. So now we're signed into that account I just gave permissions to, and if we go to all resources, or resource groups anyway, we should be able to see core. Now, what I'm thinking is that the AD policies haven't synced yet. New Zealand, you're on holiday. That's pretty good. And it's not so bad that it's Monday. Yeah, you're in the UK. Yeah, I had all kinds of plans for this weekend, but we got a crazy ice storm here, and it's been freezing rain for 2 days straight, so I couldn't really drive anywhere. How do I force? Oh, here we go. Azure AD Connect. Let's see what options we got in here. See if I can force a sync, or see how often. Let's actually look at the documentation, because that's always good to look at. Azure AD Connect. Sync time. Default synchronization is 30 minutes, so I wonder if we can force a sync. There's a module for PowerShell. Can I just do it on can I click on this? Is there nothing in that? The server does not have that much resources assigned to it. Yeah, let's read more and see if we can do a force sync. I don't know what. This is a little bit of an old article. The thing with Azure is it updates so often that a lot of the older troubleshooting and guides and stuff are out of date. Sign into your server on-prem. Navigate to the Operations tab pane. Running a step. So there's stuff here. Whoops. There's stuff here that should tell me, or should give me an option to sync. But I can't click on this. Let's open Server Manager. I don't think it's a role though, so it wouldn't show up in here. Have I ever used SolarWinds TFTP? Yes. I used that for my Cisco phones, and it was a big pain in the ass. And I hate using it. But I don't think it's not too hard. You just open. Gotta make sure that it's open in the Windows firewall, the TFTP port, and have target IPs set or just a wildcard, and it should work just fine. Oh, here's AD Connect on the desktop. Let's configure our customize synchronization options. Do I want to I want to do that. I just want to force a sync. That's all I want to do. Force a sync. Well, this is a pain. Okay, maybe I do just want to configure it. And I'll just make it a super short sync period. How do you set up which file it is to send? You just stick it in the... I'm pretty sure it creates like a TFTP directory on your C drive. So see if it yeah, like mine, I have a TFTP root, and then I just have a bunch of crap in there. Like this is SIP firmware for an IP phone. I don't remember everything about this. I just kind of followed a guide and got it working. Oh, it's already open. Whoops. Configure my sync options. Now I gotta log in, and I gotta use that user. Which is this one. Okay, that wasn't important. Directory type, Active Directory, that directory. I think all domains no use, yes. What does this do? Nothing. Optional features. Okay. Didn't change anything. Ugh. Okay, well, it's gonna sync when I do that. The only problem I see with this method is it's gonna take 30 minutes when you want to give someone access. Like if I go to Active Directory, see, I'm not able to see this stuff because I'm not a which account am I logged in as? Ops user. I wonder if I can like look at this user information. Yeah, I can't change anything though. I should have the ops resource group or the core resource group. Let's go to groups. Well, it shows on Azure that I have one user and one group on ops. Members. So maybe what I did was I should, instead of adding the contributor to the ops group, I add the ops group to the contributor. That makes more sense. So let's go back here. Go away. Go away. Oh, that looks so bad. Let's make this big. So instead of operations having contributor in it, let's remove that. And let's go contributor. We're gonna add operations to the contributor group. And I think that makes more sense. Now I just need it to sync again. So let's do that configuration thing, and maybe I think it just syncs when I do that. Okay, do that. Refresh our synchronization and sure, do that. And over here we have our operations. So it has one user and one group in it currently. It should change, instead of having one group in it, it should be a member of another group once it works properly. So let's refresh and see if it works. Oh, it is not synced yet. Okay, it says it was done. Let's go back to Azure Active Directory. Which is part of operations. Which is not synced yet. Members. Operations is a member of contributor. Ops user is a member of operations. Well, that'll take a second, I think. Let's just do a quick VM deployment just so we can see that. Virtual machine. So let's make a new one. Just do a Ubuntu server, why not? 16.04. Resource manager, yes. Create name VM UB Ubuntu. Let's do hard disk because they're cheaper. Username. Do my name. It's not good enough. Oh, it can't contain an uppercase letter. Password, we're just gonna do password because that's easy. Why is that wrong? Oh. I forgot something on the end. We're doing it in our free trial. We're going to use an existing resource group. This is going to be our core. No, the server is going to be in our dev. East US. Okay. We're gonna choose our whatever. I want none of those. Give me cheaper ones. God, I didn't actually give me the recommended one. The A1 is $54 a month. That's a lot. Okay, I guess we're doing A1. I think Windows is cheaper for some reason. Availability set. We don't have one. Don't need it. Storage, manage this. No, we'll use a new storage account. We're going to create a new storage account because we don't want it in disks. That's fine. Network. That's also fine. All that's fine. Extensions don't matter. Auto shutdown, turn that on because I don't want this to go forever. Time zones -4, -5 right now. Don't need a notification. None of that's important. Diagnostics is good enough. Don't need a backup. Everything's good. And we'll create. And that should take a couple minutes. And we should be able to see that in our resource groups. In our dev. Get a drink. What am I signed in as? I should be able to see it. Oh, it's not done deploying yet. Okay. Let's go to core. Look at our access control. We have contributor, which is a role contributor. Which I think I'm going to change that subscription level. Let's see if our AD is updated yet. No, it has one group in it, so I think it did update. Back to our operations group. Yeah, that's why I was confused. Usually it takes there, it's already done. Actually, I might still be installing the OS. Yeah, but all the other stuff's there. The Windows one takes like 5 or 10 minutes to get set up. Okay, so now we're back over here. So we're logged in. This is our AD admin logged in, but now you can see there's one member of this group, and then this group is a member instead of having contributor as that. So now if we go back to our other incognito window, this is our ops user. Refresh, work. I might actually have to refresh the page. You should be able to see our resource group here. Ops user, member of operations. So if we go to core, you go to IAM. Contributor is a contributor of this resource. And we have one group as a member. Should be operations, which has one user inside of it. Which is the ops user. We should be able to. I'm going to make it subscription wide, but I should be able to see that resource group. I don't know why I can't. unless there's nothing in it. Can I add one? This user doesn't have a subscription, that's why. Can't add one, but I should be able to see it. Like if I gave, here, let's try this. If I gave ops user, so if we go to resource groups, go to web dev, because why not? Actually, let's do web prod just because I'm going to do something with web dev, but I am going to add somebody to it. I'm going to give a contributor role to an Azure AD user. We're going to give it to ops user, save. Ops user now is a contributor on that resource group. Now let's go back to our incognito, the resource groups, reload the panel, and now we have web prod, so that's not working. Let's see if there's any other settings that I need to do in Azure AD for that to work. So contributor, one group inside, let's do properties, AD. That doesn't matter. Azure resources should be core, so that's there. Now if we go to operations, Azure resources should be core. This should work. I'm not. Let's make sure we have this right in on-prem. So operations is a member of contributor and has members opt user, and it should cascade down. So we're look over at the RBAC documentation. Do I need to give them access to the subscription? No, because it worked. It worked with web prod, just direct access. That, let's do web prod ops user specifically, and web dev. I don't think I've given permissions for anything on that yet. No, I have not. Let's try to add. So what happens if we add a user directly to, what do I want? We're going to add a user directly to the contributor group. So we'll go users, test user, add to a group. I'm going to add it to contributor. It'll take a bit to sync. Do this again just because it's faster, I think. It might do nothing, who knows. Refresh directory schema. And this is the whole point of this, is I want to make sure what I'm thinking in my mind actually works in practice. Let's start our sync process. Hey, someone subscribed. Stack _ has subscribed. Thank you. If you are watching, I think it shows every subscription across my channel, so it could also be people watching my videos and subscribing. But the first event we've had this stream. Say something in chat if you're actually here, because that'd be neat. Shout out to you. That ran. What did I do? Contributor is what I changed. Okay, that hasn't updated yet. Let's go back. Hey, you are here. Thanks for the subscription, my dude. I don't need that open. All groups. Contributor. Azure resources should be core. It's not loading. See if that VM is deployed now. You can do some really cool stuff with Azure. Might do some more streams this week based around other stuff, like app services are really cool. I'd have to set up some sort of lab for that, but looks like this is done deploying. So we want, since we're doing this, let's do I want to do it subscription wide, so let's do I think it's a set Azure role assignment. We'll look this up because I don't remember how it works. I want it with PowerShell. All the get stuff, grant access. It's new, not set. Let's do let's open VS Code. That for a second. What do I have open? I have Java stuff open. I don't want this. Folder. VS Code. Oh, I just shook. Bring everything back. There we go. Let's do new file. I'm gonna do add. What's the name? What are we doing? We're adding a role to a group. Add RBAC role, or how about give RBAC role dot ps1, and we're gonna make, what did I do? Go away. Don't need that. I need the, let's do extensions. Azure. I don't have any on this computer. Azure Resource Manager Tools is what we need. I don't think I need anything else right now. Oh, this is for ARM templates. I think PowerShell, I think we're good to go for PowerShell. You can't manage it from VLAN 10? Okay, cool. Do that properly. Let's look back at our documentation. This is our new Azure role assignment. We want to add a role to a group of the resource scope. We're not going to do the resource scope, we're going to do an application. We want to mix between the two. So we want a group at the subscription level scope, not PowerShell, code. So we want to, let's make some variables because it's easier. Scope equals, and that's going to be our subscription. We'll do role definition name is going to equal contributor. Our resource name, I don't need that. Object ID, we need here. Let's do this. Definition name scope ID. So we just want, instead of the object ID, we want a group. Is the group going to be an object ID? Resource name, parent resource, group name. Yeah, I think the object ID is just going to be our group ID equals something, and we'll get that. Actually, we could use a get something if I can remember how to do that. Don't need resource name because we're just doing the entire subscription. None of this stuff need. We just need scope. That's it. And it looks like what? Scope with a scope with a capital S, and that's going to be our scope. If I can spell properly, our object ID is going to be our group ID, and that should that's all we need to set our permissions here. So if we go back to here, we want to get our group, the Azure Active Directory. Actually, let's do this all programmatically because it's cooler like that. I think this is what we need. Do get Azure RM that. Let's do it in here. Search string contributor. How do I get this ID? It's like a get at Azure resource ID. Get Azure RM resource. How do you set up VLANs on Windows 10? I'm not sure. I don't generally set up VLAN specifics on a device. The way I have mine set up is the VLANs are set up based on port. So the port that my PC is connected to is on VLAN 10, and then I just give it an IP that's on that VLAN. How do you do it in Proxmox? That's pretty. So let's show you that. I can do that. On Proxmox, you go to, so say my WLC. This one's on 2 different VLANs. All you do is on your network device, set. Actually, this one might not be. This one might be VLAN. Oh no. So on your bridge, so I have this set as a set to the. Oh, because this one's okay. Never mind. That's a bad example. Don't listen to me. So this is my video recorder. So this one has an interface that's on VLAN 7. This is so it's connected to my bridge. This is the trunk. So on my switch, that set is a trunk port, so it can it doesn't untag or doesn't tag. Like basically what it does is it lets you tag on the host side. So, and then I'm giving it a tag of 7. So you just set that in the network interface on your virtual machine. And then you can also do it on your Proxmox host level for the network. So like my bridge 0, I have it on VLAN 10. That's configured on the switch side. So this interface, if I connect anything to this interface, it's always going to be on VLAN 10. This interface is set as a trunk, so I have to set that on the actual VM, set what VLAN it's part of. So it all depends on how you set it up. So I have it done both ways. So this one's on a specific VLAN and it's told by the switch, or it's not even told, it's just that's the network that it can connect to, is because that is what the switch allows through. This one can be anything depending on what tag you give your interface. I want to get let's do get Azure RM resource. Okay, there's way too many. Resource. And we want to get it by resource name. I don't know if this will work for groups. Either way, we have the ID here. Let's do get ID. It's already been 2 hours, holy. I don't feel like I've done a whole lot. I guess we did a bit. Let's see if my stuff's synced. Groups. Contributor. Members. Now we have test user is inside the contributor group. So let's log in as test user. Let's do a new incognito window. Portal.azure. I'm not sure when you left. So we haven't really gained a whole lot of progress. Some stuff worked, some stuff didn't work. We're logging into a different account to test. Test.user. We could type at internal.homelab.sh. Enter our password, and in theory we should be able to see the core resource group. We can. So adding a user to that group about an hour ago. Oh, cool. What kind of project did you have? Let's go back to this guy. Let's go back to our resources. Not in this one. Core, IAM, contributor has this. One user, one group. Oh, because I'm the owner. So contributor, and then members of contributors, test user, and operations. Operations has a member of ops user. So ops user should inherit that resource. I'm not sure why it does not. This is the contributor group has that resource. Well, have fun with your homework, Luke. You have a huge WAN between 3 sites, VPN configuration, routing VLAN. It's pretty cool. What are you using for your WAN? What kind of, are you using like MPLS, or what's your what's it looking like? Why does this don't work? Still want to give contributor global. We'll just do the group ID hard coded right now because I don't remember how to pull this ID from that command. We'll grab that. Contributor, I spelled that right. And our scope is going to be our subscription ID, which I can get from PowerShell. Get Azure RM subscription. That's our subscription ID. Put that in there. Let's actually do our reader. I'm not sure how that will change. Oh, so you're using packet tracer. Yeah, I mean, like, but what are you using for your interconnect between your sites? Like, I know your sites are virtual, but like we used GNS3 for when I was doing my network stuff. So like I did a lot of layer 3 VPN through MPLS is what we used as like a WAN, simulating a WAN link between sites. change subscription ID is good. Let's change our group to Azure AD group reader. Let's just see if this one works. Grab this ID. We'll give it reader. And we'll run that. Let's do cd c, whoops, scripts, and we'll run that and see if it works. It does not. Should begin with subscriptions or providers. Oh, okay. Scope is subscriptions / the subscription ID. And the group ID, no, the group ID is just the ID. Subscription. Oh. One more slash. That should work. There. So now we have our scope is our entire subscription. Display name is reader. So that's the group. Our group reader in Active Directory is now has the reader role definition, and now anyone in that group should be a reader for the entire Azure subscription, which is pretty cool. Sorry, I haven't heard your question. Oh, okay. What kind of routing protocols do they got you using? Yeah, GRP. Yeah, OSPF is nice. I did pretty much everything. Like we started with RIP, EIGRP, OSPF, then EBGP and IBGP. Yeah. At least a lot of places that I've worked, they don't even use routing protocols. They static everything. So routing protocols are nice. And then we used like for layer 3 VPN, MPLS between sites. There's layer 2 VPN. I did all this stuff in Cisco and Juniper. Juniper is a pain in the ass. Doing like BGP policies in Juniper is like, you basically write 500 lines of policies in like a Linux kind of format. It's like repeating yourself over and over again. Oh, this isn't. It's a like a 10,000 employee enterprise that uses static routes, and the reason why they do that is because they've acquired so many companies that they have some overlapping IP spaces, and they have to NAT some certain applications, and it's an awful mess. Yeah, it wasn't pretty. Let's look at this in Azure since we've run that. Now we should, if we refresh this, there should be one more. There should be a reader role here now, because that's inherited, because it's inherited from the subscription. So now, if you go into our reader, you can see we don't have any members in reader. You can change that on-prem. So let's add dev user to reader. See, I don't want to have to add them to the reader role directly, because I want them to be in a group, and I want to add that group to the reader, that group inside of the reader group, and it should inherit the role definition. So we'll let that sync. It'll probably take a minute. Let's just do it manually. I don't feel like waiting. Let's run this thing again. I need Azure AD users, my AD admin. Need the username. Refresh. Because the default refresh rate is 30 minutes, and I don't want to wait 30 minutes for it to show up. That'll do that. And eventually, this should have a user in it. Now let's go back and try and figure out, so we did this stuff, resource groups. So if we go to dev, and we look at our IAM, we should have the reader I don't know if my power is just out of Oh, that's pretty cool. My UPS is clicking and I don't know why. But I can't see what it's doing. It has some events. I should probably read what they are. Yes, okay, so we have our reader role because it's subscription wide. So if we log in as the dev user, hopefully, let's see if this is synced. Groups, reader group as a user. Okay, so now if we go to, let's just go to one of our incognito, sign out. I'm going to sign in as our dev user internal.homelab.sh. Sign in. Welcome to Azure. I don't need a tool. So now we can see all these. So if you go to all our resources, we see all of the dev stuff. But currently we cannot do anything with them. So actually, did I give this user access to this? I shouldn't be able to stop and restart unless I have reader role. I shouldn't be able to do this. See what happens when I try. Yeah, okay, there we go. That's why. So failed to restart because we do not have the authorization. It shouldn't even show these options though. They should be grayed out. I don't know why they're not. So like the same thing with like there, this one I shouldn't be able to delete or move or anything. Shouldn't be able to do this either. It failed, but it should be grayed out. I'm not sure why it doesn't. And we want to be able to give access to this stuff eventually to that. I just want to make that can go away. I want to figure out why core just because I have the one group in this group. This gets core as a resource. But the members of operations should be able to also do that. Azure resources. So in Azure, or in our Active Directory, our on-prem, we have it synced between our on-prem Active Directory and our Azure AD. Azure AD is different than on-prem Active. Like this is on-prem is our domain services, which has Active Directory, everything, all the bells and whistles or whatever. Azure AD is more for just identity. So when you sync from on-prem to Azure AD, the only thing that syncs across are your groups, group memberships, your users. You can set whether or not you want the passwords to be authenticated via Azure AD. So I have it set so that the password hash gets hashed a bunch of times, sent over to Azure, and then it gets unhashed, and it's just the hash of the password. You're not transferring passwords between, but that makes it so that that Azure AD can check if your password's correct just because it has the hash. You can also set it so that Azure AD will go back to your on-prem to make sure to do the identity verification. But basically Azure AD just has your users and your password hashes so that you can log in to Azure with your on-prem account. And what we're doing is we're trying to give certain groups in Azure, or certain groups in Active Directory, RBAC roles in Azure, and I'm trying to like cascade the groups together. So like I want this contributor security group in Active Directory to have one-to-one, like I want it to have the contributor role in Azure, so that everything that I add to contributor will get contributor in Azure. So right now I have the operations group as a member of contributor, and then I have a user in the operations group, and I want that user to be able to be a contributor for Azure. Right now it's not working for some reason, and I'm trying to figure out why. Because if I add a user directly to contributor, it works fine, but if I add a user to operations, which is a member of contributor, it doesn't work, and I want to know why. I want to see if, because I know this works, because it might not work in So it doesn't, from what I see, you can't use nested groups for app role assignment, which is for Azure Application Services, but I'm not sure about other stuff. Right now I'm just looking at the documentation. This is for Office 365 though. Not what I want. So, from what I see, Stack Overflow says that was 2014 though, and I think it's a thing now. Transitive role assignment in Azure. Preview release in the future. Not sure what that is. See if I can find anything. So if I give, it doesn't make sense. I don't want to. The problem with what I'm thinking is I don't want to give users membership of the contributor group. I want to give groups membership of the contributor group and that cascade down, but I don't think it works yet. It doesn't make sense because it should work. Oh, it's good to have you here, AO. Might have to take a break and get something to eat in a little bit. But I think I've made some findings, I guess. Groups. Let's look up with types. Azure. Oh, that's kind of cool. I don't need this though. Well, maybe I could make it so that any person and contributor gets that. Just makes it hard to get rid of. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. That sucks. Yeah, I can do all this in PowerShell. Just thinking, so I can make a. Do I have Visio on this computer? No. I don't really want to draw in Paint either. Doesn't make sense to me. All these answers are from like 2 years ago, which I know it's changed. What's this guy have to say? Oh, that's kind of cool. So let's do dynamic user. If we change, okay, so if we do add users where. Hello, Plasma Gamer. Plasma Gaming. This is based on user attributes. Advanced rule, user extension attribute. I want to know. See, now this, if I could do it where I wouldn't even have to do the on-prem group, I could do if they're a member of the operations group. Then I have to see, the whole thing about doing this in on-prem AD is that an administrator, like an AD administrator, wouldn't have to go into Azure at all to set somebody's permissions. Like when you do, say a company has to they're doing onboarding and they need to add a user, like so a new person gets hired, they need to give them access to Azure. Say they're part of the operations team, they need to be able to configure like VNets and stuff like that, and so they need a contributor or they need a custom role or something that allows them to do that. A lot of companies have something like ServiceNow that is like a ticketing system, and when they create an onboarding task, it has a extension that will create the new user in Active Directory and assign them groups based on what they checkbox what they need. And if they do that, then no one ever has to log into Azure to give access, and everything's automated. Now let's get back to assigned. I don't want to change that anymore. No, I don't, but the thing is, I don't want this contributor group to be filled with users. I want this contributor group to be filled with groups, and then those users get their access based on that. My UPS only lasts for like 20 minutes when the power's out. And I think the one for my desktop is like 8 minutes or something like that. Nested group memberships aren't currently supported for group-based assignment to applications. That was in 2017. That doesn't have anything to do with what I'm doing. Do you have a lot of servers connected to it? No, I have. It's only 1500 volt, volt amps, whatever. It's like 1300 watts, and I have my 210, which is my router, and then both my switches. It's running about 250 watts drawn from it right now, and my so it's the 210, both my switches, my Bell router, like my modem, and my NAS. That's all on the UPS. I don't have like my Proxmox host or anything like that on it, just because it doesn't really. It's not you know, critical stuff. It just has storage and network attached to it. My NAS currently has, let's find out. So we're sitting at just 3 terabytes disk, and I also have 2 more, 1 terabyte, so I have 5 terabytes total. But I'm gonna swap my parity drive out with a 2 terabyte disk, and then I've got some more that I'm gonna add. I think I have 3 more 1 terabyte disks to put in. I just don't need it right now because, as you can see, my use percentage isn't all that much. I've used 1.1 terabytes out of my 3 terabytes. I have more stuff that I could move to it. I just haven't got around to doing a lot of storage stuff. And then I have a SAN that's 14 terabytes as well, but it's too loud and warm. Once I move, I can start using some more of this stuff, but damn it, I'm stuck. I'm stuck because I don't think I can continue to do this. It should work, and it doesn't make sense why it doesn't. When's my next video? I don't know. This kind of counts as it. Because I have some stuff that I wanted to do, but I just don't have time during the week to work on videos. And then on the weekend I just relax generally. I'm setting up a second channel for stuff that's related to not technical related stuff. But I don't know if anyone would be interested in that. this over here. I'm actually working on my 70-533 exam from Microsoft for Azure implementation certification. And then after that, I gotta do my 535, and then I'll have my MCSA for cloud, and then I gotta do one more, and then I'll have my MCSE for cloud, which is my goal for the next 6-ish months. You can inherit across scopes, but not across groups. Which sucks, because that's what I want to do, is I want to spell inheritance wrong. Yeah, I don't do gaming. I don't really play video games anymore. So, yes. Yeah, I know Linus Tech Tips. Everyone should know Linus. But he doesn't do a lot of enterprise stuff. And when he does, it's not really an enterprise method of doing it. I don't know if you guys know who Wendell is, formerly of Tech Syndicate. He does like level 1 techs now, I think is his channel. That guy is like a enterprise Linux genius kind of person. I enjoy his videos. Manage role assignments, custom roles, assign custom roles to internal and external users. None of this stuff is what I want. I do want to play with PIM though, which is cool. How do I enable that? Azure AD privilege identity management. This stuff is really cool. So a lot of enterprises nowadays, they use stuff like oh, I have to turn on MFA. I don't need to do this right now, but basically what this does is give you just-in-time access. So if you're an administrator and you're in charge of a why am I thinking too much? If you're in charge of like say a production environment, and something happens and you need to log into a production server, well, most companies don't want permanent admin access for their users. So what you do is you have a it's called just-in-time access. So you have a way to escalate or elevate that user's account to an administrator, or it gives them an admin login and password for a server for a set amount of time. And what that does is allows you to be able to report on that. So if something goes wrong, they can see who requested access and who logged into the server. And it's better than having, like, say, everyone know the admin login or everyone have global admin over everything. So PIM basically does that in Azure, and you can request elevated elevated permissions, basically, without having them all the time. But you had to have MFA, which I don't feel like setting up. How much money have I put into my server? To the NAS, or the NAS was about 500, maybe a little less than that. All the servers, or the whole rack, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to put a number on it. Probably $2,000-ish. Maybe. A lot of the stuff I got for free as well, so that kind of brings down the cost. Oh. Well, I think I got to do a little bit more research, because this should be possible, but I don't think it is, and I might have to, I don't know, send a ticket to Microsoft or something and ask some questions. But I basically did what I wanted to do today, so I think I'm going to end the stream and go get something to eat, and maybe during the week sometime I will do another Azure related stream. So thank you for watching, guys, and I hope you guys will be around for the next one, and join the Discord if you wanna. Somewhere you're gonna get your friend's Steel 360 G5. I had a bunch of those. One note for the G5s is you cannot install CentOS 7 on them, because they are not supported anymore, or the RAID card that they have is not. It's not supported in CentOS. Just note that. Yeah. See y'all later.